Chapter 4. In this chapter, you will learn about the objective and subjective minds, which are the channels driving the world today, as was the case in the past. You will also see how these two minds often deceive or mislead, causing conflicts in the affairs of humanity today to make this world a most unfavorable place for humans, where confusion, disagreement, and many other evils that often leads to the destruction of life and property, as in war. How to cope with deception of the objective mind and the misleading impulses of the subjective mind. The objective mind. In our previous chapter 3, we delved into the meaning of the image and likeness of God as expressed in Genesis of the Holy Book. It was made clear that our inability to live in line with the laws enacted by our Creator for our well-being has prevented us from success in enjoying the benefit that should come to us as those who have been created in the image and likeness of God. Thus, our disobedience has deprived us of inheritance of the ability to create the desires of our heart. From our examination of the meaning of image and likeness, you should have realized that much good should go to those who live strictly by God's decree. In the chapter, we examine another aspect of the penalty for the self-imposed difference between us and our Creator. The deception of our objective of our five senses arising from their imperfections such as sight or vision, hearing, tasting, and smelling. The senses are not perfect because of our imperfection due to the difference existing between us and our Creator. The defects are seen in our inability to have a perfect understanding like that of our Creator. That is why we seem to be living in a world of the illusion, which leads to chaos arising from our lack of proper understanding of what we see, hear, taste, or smell. The five senses should ideally guide us in the face of danger, or as we navigate life for our own good. Disease or mobility and mortality, which is death, have made life miserable for most people in the world because of our sin of committal and omission, which will be more fully discussed in a subsequent chapter. In other words, our lack of perfection in the use of our five senses in nearly all of our daily activities is a good example of not living according to what Scripture says about the created as children of God to emulate Him in whatever we do. What do we do as those that have fallen short of the glory of God in our lives? The Holy Kabbalah has definite guidelines on how to cope with the unfortunate situation. Mainstream religion has copious examples in the holy books about what we should do, which may also be found in some chapters of ancient wisdom. Specifically, the Holy Kabbalah gives us additional technique for dealing with problems which may have been omitted, albeit ignorantly or deliberately, for reasons I'm reluctant to discuss here. The writers of ancient wisdom have reasons to insist that these techniques which had been omitted are the reasons for a wide margin of failure in getting positive result from religious practices. This should not be seen as condemnation of any system, but should serve as an eye-opener for those with an open mind, like our Creator, who seems to be more flexible than many humans. The additional techniques here have been practiced with remarkable success by scientific spiritual organization like the Kabbalah. You are urged to include in your daily programs. These are meditation, scientific prayers with guided meditation and breathing exercises, concentration on specific subjects or objects, and a few other techniques to be discussed in a subsequent part of this book. The purpose of these special exercises is to alter your consciousness from what is harmful or bad to what is useful or good by universal standard on the basis of universal practice. The purpose of this discussion is to raise your hope on the possibility of improving your spiritual condition through techniques that you may have been practicing for years or decades without apparent success. The subjective. The subjective mind has to do with feelings, opinion, views that may not reflect the general truth about anything. The output or impulses of the subjective minds are usually based on emotion or previous experiences, which may be bias or selfish or personal values that may not represent the norm. Thus, the more knowledgeable or informed a person is about any subject under consideration, the better his judgment, views, or opinions are likely to be on that subject. That is why the choice of leadership in any sphere of life must be based on this factor. The Holy Kabbalah is intended to widen your scope for the formulation of the best principle for positive participation in every aspect of life in which you are involved. In this chapter, we have considered the methods by which we can handle the problems that may arise in the use of our subconscious and subjective minds in a world that is today governed by opinions and ideas held by leadership, especially at the level of United Nations Organization, UNO. We have not yet discussed the most important mind, usually described as the supraconscious or unconscious, which is the mind directly linked to our Creator. This we shall do in a subsequent chapter. Note: what you have just read is not the final edition, which will be properly edited before publication. Your opinions are welcome.